0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarok's brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarok's brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarok's has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. I'd like to introduce to the Backseat Driver radio show a man whose surname carries quite a considerable amount of responsibility. I'd like to welcome Freddie Hunt to the show. Good evening, Freddie. Welcome to the show, and are you well?
Evening, Mark. Thanks for having me. Yes, very well, thank you. Very well indeed.
Now, you're fresh back from one of my favourite circuits, Paul Ricard. What exactly were you racing there?
I was racing a Ligier LMP3 in the Michelin Le Mans Cup for the opening round.
Right. So, how much racing do you do these days?
Well, a little bit more now. I've just signed a contract with Writer Engineering, so I'm doing the full season at least, and hopefully plenty more with the pursuit of Le Mans. So we've got a sort of a 5-year strategy, a plan to get to hopefully win Le Mans. This is the idea on 2026, which will be the 50th anniversary of Dad's World Championship.
Right.
So that's our plan, but we'll see how it goes.
Now, the question has to be asked. What is it like growing up being the son of James Hunt? Because I conclude, especially in the world of motor racing, there could be additional pressure to do well.
Yeah, well, the first part of my growing up, it was sort of unaffected. I was not involved in motorsport at all until the age of 19. And, you know, I was aware that my father was famous and what have you, but it really had no effect on my life, no influence, until I went into the racing world and suddenly all the media and fans and everything was thrust upon me, and I shat myself, to be honest. I didn't know what to do with it, and I certainly didn't know how to cope with pressure. And, you know, the pressure only really comes from oneself, but I put a tremendous amount on myself because I knew I was quick as well.
Yeah.
I was quicker than I should have been for my experience. And then, you know, there were a lot of expectations because, you know, so it soon went around the paddock that, you know, I was driving alongside Nick Tandy.
Yeah.
And my pace wasn't far off his, and he was the favourite and what have you. So, you know, all the other teams, everyone was thinking, you know, they were expecting a lot. And I think I knew that, and I was also expecting a lot for myself because I knew that my pace was solid top 6 pace in the British Formula 4 Championship, which was a very competitive championship then, and I'm sure is now as well. But yeah, I just couldn't get my act together in competitive situations. So even the official Friday practice beforehand was a mess. Yeah. And I persevered until mid-2009 and then called it a day. I couldn't handle it anymore, so I stopped racing altogether.
Right. So, because I mean, it's one of those things, and this isn't meant as an insult, but a fast driver's child is not always forced. I mean, in many ways you look extremely like your father, you sound like your father, your voice sounds like James, but in many ways the skills and the abilities of the father doesn't always pass on to the son or the daughter. But I conclude from what you were saying, your dad's talents have, shall we say, migrated to you along with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, inheriting talents is a bit like, you know, breeding horses or dogs, you know, for racing. You know, you get some good ones, you get some bad ones, you know, from the same stud. And whether I've inherited all of his speed, I don't know. It's never really been tried and tested, if you know what I mean. I mean, I've never really had the opportunity to fully polish my raw talent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To refine it. So hopefully now I'm with a good team. Over the next couple of years, then we'll really find out how quick and how competitive I can be.
Yeah. I mean, have you done any studying of your father's driving to see how he did it? Because regrettably, he isn't around to pass on his advice. The world of motor racing lost James Hunt very early on, for want of a better description. Have you studied him in any way to see exactly what he did, how he drove, etc.?
To be honest, no. I mean, there's no data telemetry in those days. And I've read all his books, but it doesn't really speak much of driving style. And I think when someone asks you, how do you do it, and you say, well, I just jump in and give it arseholes. Quote them exactly.
So, I mean, are there any of your father's friends about who've been in contact, or you've been in contact with them, to discuss anything about motor racing and your style and everything else?
Unfortunately, most of them are dead, actually, or very old. I mean, Jochen Mass, actually, his teammate, I should probably talk to him, really, about his driving style, but I don't really want to go out and try and replicate his driving style. I mean, I'm my own man, and I'll have my own style. I mean, I personally think my mother, just judging by her personality, I reckon if she was brought up in a racing car and was, the first female racing driver, or in this day and age, I reckon she would have been pretty damn quick as well.
Yeah.
She was a fine horseman, and I do think there is a synergy between horses and cars. Perhaps that's why I was quite quick from the get go. Because I remember when I was coaching, corporate guests at Bedford Autodrome, all of the professional equine athletes were much quicker straight away than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think there is a synergy from riding horses, whether it's the feel through your bum for the beast below you. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
Well, I think the thing about, my grandfather was a keen horseman and had his own small stable. Regrettably, his skill on horseback didn't transfer to me. I have nothing against horses. I don't mind looking at them, but the moment I get on the back of one, it has one main aim in life, and that's to get me back off it. But the one thing I've always seen with horse or people who can ride a horse, it's like you just said, it's feel and it's balance and it's intuition. And although a horse is a living creature and will work in conjunction with the person on its back, a well-tuned and well-sorted car will talk to its driver.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of similarities. Of course, one's alive and has its own agenda. But I suppose there are a lot of synergies. But going back to my father's driving style and whether I should try and learn from it, I'm not so sure. I mean, I think one should just drive however they feel naturally, and then work on their own foundations, if you know what I mean. I mean, I might be wrong there, but that's what my intuition tells me.
Yeah. Now, is there any reason why you've gone into sports cars other than single seaters? Because your father made his name as Formula One world champion. You're going into sports cars and with the intentions of racing in what I consider the greatest motor race in the world, Le Mans. What made you choose that direction?
There's two reasons, really. Well, initially I did go into single seaters and with the ambition to go to Formula One, but then it became pretty evident pretty soon that lack of money and my age, it was unrealistic. So when I came back to racing in 2014-15, I set my sights on Le Mans because that's a more realistic target. And also I soon noticed that endurance racing suits me a lot better. These short 20-minute, half-an-hour sprint races, Formula Ford, which I was doing, I get awfully flustered. I'm much better if I can relax. The pace is still going to be the same. It's still driving, more or less flat out. But over a longer stint, I think it's better for my mentality. I just settle into the race a lot quicker and a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm much more comfortable, and I do think I'm actually glad that I didn't succeed and get to Formula One, because I'm not sure I'd like being in Formula One right now.
No, I'll be quite honest. I used to be a Formula One fan. Regrettably, I no longer am. For the simple reason, to my mind, it's become more of a form of showbiz entertainment than anything else. Okay, the cars have now very technically advanced, but the world of Formula One is nothing like it used to be, and to my mind it's now become so clinical that it's eradicated the characters. And the one thing we could safely say about your dad and the drivers of the same time, they were all very distinct characters who allowed their character to come through.
Indeed, yeah, and nowadays, they can't really say anything without getting in trouble, and their PR agents just practically gives them a script, and it's pretty sad, really. So I mean that's probably one reason I don't like. I wouldn't want to be in Formula One. I'm not saying I don't like Formula One. I still watch every race, and I enjoy it. I am a Formula One fan. I love the technology, the speed of the cars, and the performance of them is astonishing, and I'd love to drive one. But just to be part of the Formula One circus, as it were, I'm not sure I'd like that so much.
Now, the thing about driving Le Mans is it's a lot of people don't realise you don't just turn up and drive at Le Mans. There's a lot to go through before you even potentially arrive on the grid at Le Mans. You've more or less to qualify to be able to go and qualify at Le Mans. I mean, just talk us through the process.
Well, I haven't done it yet, to be honest. But as far as I'm aware, yes, you need to have an invitation to race at Le Mans. Now, I think if you enter a team into the World Endurance Championship, as far as I'm aware, I would assume, I don't know actually, I'm assuming that your invitation comes with that, because I think that Le Mans 24 Hours is part of the championship. Therefore, you'd be driving. You would naturally be part of the race. However, there's plenty of cars and teams that enter into Le Mans which aren't part of the World Endurance Championship, and I think that they'll come from the European Le Mans Series or one of the other endurance championships, and that requires an invitation. And the way to get that invitation, I think, is just by success and probably contacts and maybe greasing some palms. Is generally how things work.
Yes, regrettably.
Yeah. So you do need, if you're not part of the WEC, you do need an invitation, and maybe even if you are part of the WEC, you might still need an invitation for Le Mans. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, because the one thing I do know is you've got to, if memory serves, I think it's Paris you go to, where you more or less go onto a simulator and drive laps, and from there they will work out whether you are likely to be able to drive at the circuit.
Right, okay.
So it's one of...
I have heard something like that. I have driven the circuit once, so maybe that qualifies me. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So we'll see, because there is actually a chance that I might be racing in the Le Mans 24 Hours this year. A GC team have contacted me. They're looking for a bronze driver. So that's all I know at the moment, and I don't know if it'll happen yet, but there is a chance of doing it this year.
Right. Now, you've driven at Le Mans. I mean, I haven't driven the 24, but I have driven I've driven the Bugatti circuit, which is the small circuit, and the full circuit. And what a lot of people don't realise is the certain parts of that circuit aren't quite as wide as they appear on television. I mean, it is an incredibly challenging circuit, isn't it?
I'm not sure, really. I found it rather straightforward, but maybe I wasn't pushing hard enough. I mean, the fast bits, I think what are the Porsche curves and what have you, I think that's what they're called. You don't want to have a shunt there. You don't want to lose control there, because there's not much room for error. You'll be straight on the wall at quite high speed.
Yeah.
And obviously the straights are very high speed. But the rest of it, I mean, in comparison to some circuits, I wouldn't describe it as a particularly technical circuit. I did have a bit of fear on that circuit for my health. The first time ever in a racing car, it was during practice, and I was heading down the back straight, which is directly west, and it was in the evening, so the sun was low.
Yeah. And
there was oil on my screen. Luckily, it was a practice session, so I could lift off. But I couldn't see where I was going at all. And doing best, I was probably doing 160, 170 miles an hour, and that got me a little bit nervous.
But, I mean, it is still, as you said, it's not a technical circuit for the simple reason it is in most ways a very old circuit. It is, it was public road. Still, parts of it still are at certain times. The normal traffic drives up and down it. But, I mean, do you, it's something that I found, when you were there, do you feel the history that is there at Le Mans because of all that has gone before?
I suppose so. Yeah, this was 2019. I raced there. It was an exhilarating experience. But again, I mean, well, when I'm driving, I'm sort of so focused on the driving. I don't really take much notice of anything else really. So, but I really enjoyed the weekend. It was one of the pretty best race weekends I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with what you're doing, how many races a season do you undertake currently?
There is 6 rounds this season, and so 7 races, because it's 1 race per round, apart from the road to Le Mans is broken into 2 races. Not sure why, but that's the way they do it.
So, whereabouts are the different races?
So we've just done Paul Ricard. The next one is Imola on the 14th of May, then Le Mans at the beginning of June, then Monza beginning of July, then Spa, and then finally in Portimao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you class yourself now as a full-time racing driver?
I suppose so, yes. I mean, on paper, I'm a bronze driver, so, I'm a gentleman driver, really, Mark.
Yeah.
Getting a bit old now.
Isn't everyone, young man?
So, no, I do consider myself a full-time racing driver, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, full-time racing driver, part-time farmer.
So, I mean, all drivers have different regimes. I mean, what is your daily regime and etc. to, shall we say, get yourself to the level to be able to drive at Le Mans and drive the endurance racing? Because endurance racing is not, as you said, it's not 20-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour sprints or stints. Endurance racing, besides the endurance the car goes through, the drivers have to be incredibly fit, but possibly fit in a different way to a Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know enough about it to say whether the fitness level is different to a Formula 1 drivers. But, in endurance racing, you can sometimes drive up to 3 hours, I think, in one stint.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fitness is paramount. Upper body strength, just for controlling the car and going through all the G-forces is key. And endurance. So my fitness training looks like sort of an hour to an hour and a half weight training. Upper body strength training, a bit of legs, of course, and then sort of 30 to 60 minutes, or sometimes a bit more of cardio training. So whether it's running or swimming or cycling. Yeah. And I'll train 6 days a week.
Now, you were saying, besides driving, you are classed as a farmer. Do you find being a farmer helps in any way? Because farming is, shall we say, definitely a physical activity.
I don't really know, to be honest. I'm only a baby farmer, a fledgling farmer. I bought a small holding a year ago, and I've got myself some animals just purely for my own consumption. Yeah. Mind you, I will sell a few pigs because I can't eat a dozen pigs a year. And I like my birds. So I've got far too many. Not too many, but I got more birds than I need for myself, for my own eggs. So I will be selling some eggs, and some of the birds that I produce, give them away, and yeah. So, just out of interest, where is your small holding? Scotland, right? Yeah. So, because I mean, have the locals latched on to who you are? Oh, they have. It's a very small community. They're latched on even before I moved there. Oh. So, I mean, the one thing, are you able to, as like we'd said, have you spoken to any of your fathers, the people who raced there? Is there anybody else from your father's days of racing who you've been able to get in touch with, or any of the children of your father's previous teammates, etc., that you keep in touch with? Well, Nicky Lauder and Matthias, Nicky's son Matthias, we're friends, we're in touch. Yeah. And Nicky's given me some very solid advice every time I saw him. Yeah. And that's his advice was invaluable. So, And actually, come to think of it, the advice my father gave to Mika Häkkinen, I interviewed him a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, and the advice Dad gave to Mika was I found invaluable as well. So yes, in an indirect way, I have taken advice from my father and from his peers. So yes, that's the answer.
I mean, just out of interest, can you pass on said advice?
Can I pass it on?
Yeah.
I can give out plenty of advice, Mark. Whether I can actually follow it myself.
I mean, that's one thing you'll probably have noticed, because no doubt you'll have seen plenty of films and footage, etc. The world of motor racing has changed from your father's day. I mean, the one thing we have to admit is your dad, I think, epitomised what a playboy he was in many ways. Also, I always considered that your father was one of the finest motor racing and Formula One commentators I'd ever heard. I thought he was fantastic. The reason being, a lot of F1 commentators now and motorsport commentators have never done it, and that's what came across with your father. When he passed a comment about another driver or something that had happened, you knew full well he'd been there and done that. Are you able to, shall we say, emulate your father in any way?
What, for commentary?
Well, I mean, there's commentating. I mean, have you been invited to commentate?
No, I don't think I have, actually. I'm not sure I'd be much good at it, to be honest. I don't think it's really my thing.
I mean, I do a lot of commentary work. It's relatively easy. The only thing you need to do is talk. The fact that you might not be talking any common sense.
Well, I can do that. That's my fear, that I just rabbit on too much to get sidetracked.
And, I mean, what's the rest of your family had to say about you following in your dad's footsteps?
It mostly been alright with it, I think. Yeah. I mean, my mother was very happy that I was racing. She was perfectly fine with it. Most people sort of said to me, "Well, doesn't your mother worry about you being in a racing car?" And I said, "Well, no, because it's far safer than on a horse in terms of my health." I mean, she was her that encouraged me to. Sorry, I'm being a bit distracted. It was my mother that encouraged me to start horses in the first place. She was from a horse racing background.
Yeah.
But then when I started cars, she was very supportive of it. I mean, maybe she had some problems with it, but she never shared them with me.
Yeah. But, because, I mean, it is one of those things, motor racing is, as soon as you start to progress up the ranks, it does become a very intense way of life.
Yes, yeah, as I'm learning.
So, I mean, we have to mention the fact that currently the young lady on your arm is one of my past guests, Amy Watts, daughter of Patrick Watts, who Amy, as I said, gave me a fantastic interview. Have you picked up any handy hints and tips from her father, Patrick Watts, who was one of the great BTCC drivers?
Not yet. But I am looking forward to it, picking his brains a bit, because I haven't actually spent that much time with Patrick yet, but I do look forward to talking to him about driving in general. Yeah.
Besides the endurance, are there any other series that appeal to you, such as saloon cars, touring cars, sports cars? What other branches of motorsport appeal?
Rallycross.
Rallycross?
Yeah, I did a test once, and that was one of the most. Probably some of the most fun I've ever had in a car. It was fantastic. I love that. I'm not sure about proper rally because I don't like cliffs and trees. I like oak trees don't budge.
No, that's one of the great problems. Most of the norm code doesn't budge, but most of the obstacles that the rally drivers face, as you just said, tend to be a bit solid and just glower at you if you crash into them.
No, but I mean, driving on gravel, or maybe snow or anything loose conditions, a loose surface is great fun. And I've always been fairly quick in the wet, so I think this sort of more unpredictable, an unpredictable surface. Maybe I'm best at. I'm forced to drive with instinct rather than calculation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a bit better at that.
I mean, that's what you've just said. A great friend of mine coaches a lot of. He is a racing driver. He coaches a lot of young drivers, and off the record, he's said to me on many occasions, we have a lot of young drivers out there that want to start racing. He said, I will coach them. He said, and at times I have to tell their parents, no matter how many thousands of pounds you throw at Junior, he will never make a racing driver. You seem to be the complete opposite. You seem to be able to get into a racing car and just race it because something in you tells you what to do. I mean, how do you find a lot of the other younger drivers or inexperienced drivers?
How do I find them?
Yeah, I mean, when you're out there, I mean, the one thing is on a circuit, you need to be able to read what your other racers are doing. And a lot of these younger drivers now don't, shall we say, take the accepted and prescribed routes around things, and can at times, their inexperience will cause accidents. How do you find a lot of the more inexperienced drivers, or those who are, shall we say, unlike you, determined to be a racing driver, but in many ways will never make one?
I'm trying to think of experiences I've had with them. I mean, there was one fella in when I raced in India who shouldn't be racing, shouldn't have been allowed anywhere near a racetrack, and that was rather frustrating because, you know, he'd had tons of money thrown at him. And I'm not going to mention, I can't even remember his name actually, to be honest, so it doesn't matter. But that was a bit frustrating, just seeing all that money poured into, you know, and I'm on a shoestring budget or no budget and no drive, when someone else got loads of money but no talent is such a waste, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, when it comes to sort of avoiding accidents, I'm not sure I'm the best person to comment on that, because I'm not always that good at it myself. I've been known to have the odd tangle mark, unfortunately. But I'm getting much better at it, and it was I will say it was more often, well, 9 times out of 10 it was due to my mind not being focused because I was putting pressure on myself.
Yeah.
When I'm relaxed and confident, which I am now and I have been for the past few years in the car, I've been much better. I did have an accident last year at Monza, but that was purely by missing my brake point, and I collected someone turning in. I wasn't trying to be a hero and go for a 2-car overtaking one, which it looks like that from the TV, but I hand on my heart, promise I wasn't. Yeah. I just missed my braking point. It was just a driver error mistake. Yeah.
I mean, Monza, I rate Monza as my all-time favourite circuit. I think it's the most incredible circuit to race on, because of where it is and the regulations that surround it. They cannot alter the circuit. And besides it being my favourite circuit, I still say, when you get a Scottish chicane right, you have every reason to exit with the biggest smile on your face, because that is my all-time favourite corner. I mean, how do you find Monza, and which is your favourite circuit?
I must say, I'm going to disappoint you. I didn't love Monza. I did love the Scottish chicane was fantastic, and the next is a parabolic in the next corner. That quite fairly quick right-hander.
Oh, you mean the one where you think you're going to come off, but you after you've clipped the apex, you then start to drift to the left, and the first few occasions you think, I've got this wrong, because the curbs and the barriers are suddenly looming large, and all of a sudden, as if by magic, the start-finish straight makes its appearance.
Exactly, yeah. You barrel it in there, especially. I mean, I've only driven it in one car, with which the LMP3, which has downforce, and you sort of barrel it in there. I think we're using fourth, and then get on the throttle, and providing the car doesn't understeer off, you know, if the car sticks, if the setup's right, you're away, and it is great. But the Ascari chicane, I remember. So we didn't have a very good setup for practice, and we massively changed it for qualifying, because we had a lot of oversteer in practice, and we changed it for qualifying, which turned it to fairly understeery. But then suddenly, on a light fuel load with new tyres, I threw it in to the left hand, and I got flat on the plough, which I hadn't been flat through the rest of the corner before, and I was flat, and it was easy flat through the rest of it. It was a fantastic feeling, yeah. And that lap actually was what I was considering a warm-up lap,
yeah,
before I really push, and it was pole position for most of the session, and I didn't get another lap in, unfortunately, but that was only what I was considering a warm-up lap. I reckon I had another half a second in me, which would have been, I ended up being P4, which is a tenth and a half off pole. Yeah. But I think if I did get another lap in and didn't cock it up, I would have had pole comfortably.
Yeah. So what rates as Freddie Hunt's favourite circuit?
Well, Silverstone's up there. but one I had most fun on actually was Virginia Raceway.
Oh,
Now, I'm not sure. It might not be much fun in a prototype or a single CC, all the curves and the bumps and everything. But I was in a GT4, and it was really good fun.
yeah. And it's one of those things. I mean, you were saying about sponsorship. I mean, every racing driver walking, as a rule, it's constantly at the forefront of their mind is generating sponsorship and generating money. Has being James Hunt's son helped in any way generating interest off sponsors and, all being well, some money off sponsors?
It certainly has, yes. Not to the degree most people would think. I mean, a lot of people say, but you're James Hunt's son, why are you not funded? Surely people just throw money at you. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but it did open doors at the beginning.
Yeah.
It has opened doors now, and it certainly helps a bit. Nonetheless, however, I still have to drive well. It'll open the door, but I have to walk through it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So besides the car sponsors, who are your sponsors? Who else, shall we say, kindly put their hands in their pockets for you?
Well, it's a fairly blank car at the moment, if I'm honest, Mark. Crossley, which is a team sponsor. The team is Writer Engineering, and the team have taken a bit of a gamble on me.
Yeah.
And they are funding it to begin with, but we are, I believe they're in discussions with a number of companies. But Crossley, which is an audio company, I believe, based in the States. Yeah. I think they make sort of turntables and speakers and putting modern music onto old vinyl records. They've been a standing sponsor of the team for a number of years. Yeah. But apart from that, it's a blank canvas. So if any would-be sponsors out there, plenty of space on the car.
Now, the one thing your dad was known for was his own private transport, the old Austin A35 van.
Yes.
Have you followed in suit with that, or do you drive a more modern car as your daily knockabout?
Well, I suppose I do. For motorways, I bought myself an Audi A6 because I was doing a lot of miles, and the car I had before that I still got is a 2003 beefed up Toyota Hilux, which doesn't like the motorway very much. Yeah. So I suppose I'm slightly old-fashioned in that respect, and I didn't want a more modern one. Well, I couldn't afford one for starters anyway. But I got an old 2003 Toyota Hilux, which is pretty indestructible, as Jeremy Clarkson proved. Yeah.
And, I mean, just out of interest, does the old Austin van of your dad's still exist?
It does, and I think it actually came up on the market recently. I'm sure someone sent me a link to it. It does exist, and someone's got it, but unfortunately we haven't got it.
So, could you, if it came up for sale again, could you be tempted to buy it?
If I had excess cash, yeah, probably, but I don't, unfortunately.
And I mean, the other final question, when you were at Paul Ricard, when we were talking before the interview, I suggested you went to the driver's restaurant above the pit lane at Ricard. Were you able to go and get one of their magnificent steaks?
No, well, I did ask about this, but it was a buffet, and there was no steak to be seen, unfortunately. I mean, I won't complain, the buffet was okay, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
What a shame, because that was one of the great things I used to love about Paul Ricard. People used to say, you're down there, we're racing there, the two Rotos finishing there. The first thing in my mind was, marvellous, the restaurant will be open. But I actually find Ricard initially a very mesmeric circuit because of the multicoloured runoffs. How did you find Ricard?
Challenging, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was built, maybe someone shouldn't have told me this, but it was built to challenge engineers and drivers, and it certainly did challenge us. I mean, there's multiple lines you can take in several different corners. We were, without sounding like I'm making excuses, we were struggling for setup because our engineer hadn't actually worked on the cars before. My teammate had not driven the car before, and obviously my first time on the circuit. But I was quite pleased with our result for, given the circumstances. We were, I think, qualified 6th and finished 11th out of a 42-car field, I think, so not too bad.
Not too bad, no.
Not too bad. But the next round we will be stronger. We've been working hard on the car, and we think the car has done a bit of testing. Well, it's done a race at Spa recently, and it got pole position there in the German Prototype Cup. And I'm heading out next week for a test. Heading out to the team next week for sim work with the team, and a test day the following week for Imola.
Now, if anybody listening does want to sponsor you, or as you just said, throw some money your way and get their name on the car, what's the best way of getting in touch with you?
Probably Instagram would be the best way. Just look me up on Instagram, send me a message there.
But Freddie Hunt, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. It's nice to chat to somebody who, shall we say, appreciates his father but hasn't ridden on the back of him. So it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Freddie Hunt, thanks very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver radio show.
My pleasure, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hodder Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hodder Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddertyres.co.uk.